definitely trust, because you need to trust your wedding photographer. For me, that's the most important thing.
Hi guys, welcome to the Weddings Exposed podcast, the first podcast for the brides and for the wedding industry professionals.
We are Alexa Geibel and Kirill Brusilovsky, fine art wedding photographers from North Germany.
In our podcast, we are going to give many tips for the brides how to organize your dream wedding.
Our idea is to bring wedding industry professionals and wedding clients closer together and make them understand each other better.
We want to share experiences and learn from each other.
And now, let's rock and roll.
Welcome to the Weddings Exposed podcast.
Today, we have a very interesting person, a colleague of ours, great photographer, #1 best wedding photographer in Germany, version Fearless Awards 2017, 2018, 2019, and also top 30 best wedding photographer by International Society of Professional Wedding Photographers. It's a very cool organization. Hi there, Steven Herrschaft.
Hey guys, how you doing?
How are you doing?
We're
Fine,
good.
how are you?
How are you?
Good.
We're really super excited to have you here today because you're also a really young photographer. I watched your interview on YouTube. I guess you started at the age of like 14, 15, you said, right?
Yeah, 16. Yeah, I was 16. Yeah.
And how old are you now?
I just got 23 last week. Yeah,
Congratulations.
Happy birthday.
So yeah, I'm 7 years now in wedding photography business. Yeah, it's been a really long time, to say the least.
And was it like the love from the first sight with the wedding photography?
It definitely was. Like, I mean, I had like a pretty weird way starting with wedding photography. But when I shot my first wedding, when it actually came to the point when I first started to shoot a wedding, I completely fell in love right away.
And why? What was the main reason?
Like it's still the same nowadays, that I love emotions, I love like telling stories, and I love the freedom that we actually have as photographers and just get creative. And that's kind of what I like about this.
Tell us a little bit more about your special style. I mean, your pictures are really, wow, very emotional in ways, but I guess you have some kind of philosophy behind them.
Well, thank you first. I mean, I am like, I will never, I'm from the fully documentary side of photography, I guess. I mean, I don't like portraits, I don't like stage stuff. It just, I tell the stories that happen on a wedding day because I always feel like there's nothing more exciting and more awesome and more creative than like the real life or the reality, to say the least. And like getting like, I take the creativity from the stuff like happening in front of me and in front of my camera. So that's kind of my way of seeing the world. And I mean, I always say like I'm creative, but I feel like more the people in front of me are the creative people, and I'm just there to document these stuff in my way.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Like your approach, you can definitely see all these emotions. I really love one picture of yours with the child, like with the wedding cake and then with the child, the way he looks, and also with the dogs. So it's like, it must be also pretty exhausting for you to work on the wedding day because you just have to, you have to have so many eyes like a spider, just look in every single direction to see what's going on. How do you manage that?
I mean, for me, the most important stuff is to keep fit and just to be like, it's a hard day. It's a super hard day. Like usually I walk between 20 and 25 kilometers every wedding just to just be everyone. I'm basically trying to be everywhere. And I'm kind of a chaotic person, to be honest. And just trying to focus on things that could happen, just trying everything out that could basically just work out, even if it doesn't. I fail a lot when I do this, and I basically come home with pretty shitty images, to say the least.
No way, it's really hard to believe. I mean, I saw your images. I cannot believe I think you're just being humble now.
How many do you shoot during the wedding? So how
say?
many shitty images do you bring home?
I mean, I'm basically delivering like 6 to 8% of the images that I'm delivering, and there's a reason for that.
Right.
So I mean, like 90%, 95% of the images, I'm pretty happy that I am the only person having to see these.
So what can the bride expect in the end? What the selected 8%? What is it?
it's basically like 600 to 800 images that I basically saying like these are the images that I love, and that basically tell the story of the day, and just keep all the bad stuff out because no one wants to see these.
And so how many pictures usually do you shoot at the wedding? Like, let's say 10 hours wedding, 6,000?
Nah, a little bit more, maybe like 8 to 12,000 images.
Whoa, I thought I'm
Wedding.
crazy because I make like 5,000. Okay, wow. So how much time actually does it take for you to pre-select all those images?
Well, it might be like a full wedding, like a full day. Like you can basically say like the time that I am at the wedding, I will basically just stay at home and just selecting all the images, which means like most of the time that's like 13 to 15 hours. So it's basically the same with selecting the images.
You went already quite deep into the techniques of all, and that's great. I'm also very curious. But just one question, a step before, because you said you're shooting of documentary style,
Yeah.
with quite little attention for the portrait. So that's the part you
Right.
just absolutely don't do or don't like. How does it? If the couple comes to you and says, "Well, we want emotional photos, but of course we want some portraits," what do you do?
I would basically say like just trying to get a picture of what they actually want, because there might be a difference between we want portraits, which means like we need 1 to 2 hours portraits, or they just say we need like 10 portraits of us and I'm fine with that. So that's the first step. I'm not saying we don't do portraits. I mean, I'm a photographer and I want to make my clients happy. Of course I want to do that. But most of my clients, I mean, it's first when they're coming to me, they don't expect me like being a portrait photographer at all. They know my style because they know it from Instagram, from my website, from all my social media I'm doing, because there I'm just showing like real moments and real couples and all that stuff. So they don't expect like having like 1,000 portraits. But if they want some, they will get some. And that's like 30%, 25%. That's basically the people who want portraits. And like basically all of them say like, oh, we just need like 5 to 10 and we were happy with that. So which means like I need 15 minutes with them and we were all happy with that. So yeah.
Do you think your social media presence does help you to attract this kind of clients? Because for me, like my clients, they just want portraits, like 2 hours, 3 hours. We do the couple photo shoot. I really love it. That's my like really cup of tea. So do you think like why do we attract so different clients? Is it because of social media? Is it because of the pictures that we post?
Yes, but I could say like most of my couples are coming actually from my website. So it's basically like the stuff that I'm writing and the stuff that and the images that I'm showing. It's always like I always ask myself like which people I want to attract with the stuff that I'm showing. So I'm like always asking like what can I do to attract the clients that I want, and I don't want portrait clients. Like this is completely not my type of people who just trying to see the beauty.
Yeah.
I'm by no means a beauty photographer at all. Like I show real world and real clients and real situations happening, and that's the most important thing for me. And that's what I'm having fun with.
Let's be frank. Sometimes potential clients don't spend very much time at first at the website. They just check different photographers and contact them, and you never know. So what would you do if there is a typical couple there, and many of them have quite weird idea of what they want to have? If you see that somebody doesn't fit, but they are already there, so you are meeting them personally or in Skype or whatever.
And
what
they
would
want
you
to
do?
pay
How would
you
you
like
behave?
lots of €1,000, you know, like 10,000, bam, just do it.
I mean, I never booked a €10,000 client, to be honest. Like,
Do you book for more?
What do you say?
Do you book for more?
Not really.
No?
I mean, I always feel like educating your clients is important because I want to make them happy, but I also want to make myself happy. And if I don't see like that we would match at all, I would say it to them. Like I feel like there are other photographers out there who would make you even more happy than I could do. And I'm
Is it
honest.
theoretical, or have you already said so a few times?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Not because of money. Just I'm a strong believer that we shouldn't be a bitch of the money and don't have to prostitute for the stuff that we're doing, because we can always be the best when we're doing what we can do best and not just trying to just simulate something for other people. And because in the end, if like my science and my brain just starting to alert, and it's starting to alert more and more, I will say I'm not the right photographer for you.
Right, but you're not an altruist. I mean, you are living from that, right?
Yes.
So this is your main
Yes.
job, the wedding photography.
Yes.
And but basically you are not a marketing and business kind of a person. So you see your work as a business. Could you talk about these aspects? How much business is it into all this stuff? Because you have to earn money, and how much art? How do you see yourself? So what do your potential clients have to understand? Who are you actually when they are trying to call and to book you?
I mean, I'm trying to get a relationship between them and me, of course, because trust is like the single most important thing between each other. That's why I'm saying we don't fit to each other, because I don't feel like they trust in my work that I'm doing. And I need to, because I need them to be open and just to like actually be themselves, and like in this way. But in the other way, I need to have their trust to actually like that I can perform as good as I want. Because if they're not open, I won't be as well, and I cannot like deliver the best possible product for them. So I feel like trust and like being somehow a friend, even if it's just for the time of the wedding and just the things before and after. That's kind of the main goal, because I feel like people like really trust me, not only with the decision of like me booking, but also on the wedding day and letting me basically into their inner circle and their feelings, and like being so open. And that's something that I like, but I really appreciate this, because it's not something that I could take for granted. So yeah, that's basically it.
That's really beautiful. So do you have like an ideal client in mind when you write your blog post or when you post the pictures? Does she have a name, your ideal clients, like in your mind?
I mean, I should have, because I've studied online marketing. So
okay.
But the real answer is yes, to some point. I don't have like the list of my ideal client in front of my computer or something like that, but I know that I'm attracting like basically fun people who are like can be open, who don't have like really problems to be extroverted, and just a little younger than most wedding clients, I guess, and just some people like that. And I'm not narrowing it down to like the single like what you're eating for lunch or something like that. Just like a bigger picture, and yeah, that's basically it.
Cool.
So you're saying that you have marketing background. So actually, being an artist, you are still very much aware of the marketing stuff. So what are you doing actually for the marketing? I guess that your openness and this kind of being very open to the client is a part of the communication, which is market. I mean, there is nothing bad to marketing. So what else are you doing to market yourself? How do clients find you, and how do you find your clients actually?
I mean, I'm trying to have like many ways that people can find me. It's a little better than to just like set all my cash on one cow or on one horse. Of course, I'm doing social media. I'm by no means a social media expert. I'm just trying to post. I'm doing a lot of website work, SEO, all that stuff. I'm competing in competitions, which is also helping me to book clients, of course. And I love these clients that come through like Fearless, ISPWP, Masters and all that things. Yeah, just trying to be as much findable as you can online. Is basically my goal. I'm not too good in like in-person stuff or all that things, but yeah, that's basically trying to do a lot of things to make myself present.
Do you meet potential clients in person, or do you Skype with them?
I usually nowadays it's more Skype because I'm having more clients from like other places who are not living so much nearby, who are maybe like from other countries or from other parts of Germany. So it's Skype nowadays, but I love to meet in person, just a little more. Yeah, if I could, I would love to meet them in person, but it's not always the case. It's been pretty rare, like only like 5% or something like that. All the others basically, yeah, Skype.
So you do then many destination weddings?
Yes, but also like in Germany, other places. But I mean, like 3 or 4 hours, you basically wouldn't come for like a meeting, which would take like an hour or something like that. So I'm just not having too much clients here in my region, but also like others, like Bavaria and all that other parts of Germany. So yeah, but I also have destination weddings from time to time. I mean, I usually have like 3 to 4 every year, not maybe 5, maybe 6, but that's basically it. So yeah, I'm coming around a little.
And how usually the destination clients find you? Is it Instagram? Is it your website? Is it awards?
Basically, yeah, awards having a lot with that because they're like really international audience for these, and I mean, Fearless is pretty good for this kind of stuff, and I mean, I love those clients because they really get what I'm doing and they're really into photography, and that's what I love about them. So everyone's like inquiring from Fearless. I'm like always like, oh, that's cool. So
that's like my ideal client then, my perfect.
Yeah. They're always like, I never had like any bad experience at all with clients from Fearless. They're always awesome. Really, they have like the best parties, and I love those parties.
So how would you say the awards change your life as a photographer? What would change for you since you start to win so many awards? Like you say, you have many cool clients now. What else?
Basically not too much. I don't feel like they're like, we always want to talk about game changers and will like this award will open the door and this award will open the door, but it doesn't. Like I want a lot of cool stuff and I know that, but in the end it just basically there's not like too many shortcuts for what you're wanting to achieve. I mean, I'm in business for 7 years now, which is a pretty long time, and I know that I'm kind of the old guys to say. Like,
come on, with 20 what 2
23, yeah.
Yeah, really, really old. Yeah, oh my God.
But I mean, like I don't know. I really don't know. Like a lot of photographers out there who are in business for 7 years. So it took a lot of time, and like I kind of hate when someone's coming out to saying like, "Oh, I know the shortcuts for success, and you will be instant wedding photography rock star," which is like the weirdest like saying thing at all because we don't have any rock stars at all. But I hope you're getting what I want to say with that, because like yes, it helps, but it all helps in some ways. But we're always looking for that one client who is like the Prince of Nigeria, who has like all these other crazy people out there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen. I mean, for some people it will happen, but for me it didn't in the last 7 years, and I'm not trying to search for it any longer. I'm just trying to work, and I'm trying to work hard for what I want to have, for what I want to achieve, and I feel like it's way more productive to like put in all my cash on that one single horse, which I always say.
So with your experience, what actually makes a good photographer? Supposing I'm a bride or bridegroom and I'm looking around. Obviously the pictures and your website is actually your showroom for your pictures, but I'm pretty sure that there is much more to it, like also personal qualities. Can you talk about your own idea, vision, picture of a perfect wedding photographer?
I mean, I think there's no perfect wedding photographer for like. There's not just only one.
Yes,
like,
not for everybody. That's why I've said your personal perfection.
I feel like every client and every wedding couple should find their perfect wedding photographer who, I mean, I think I might be the perfect wedding photographers for my clients, because we're matching in personal ways, and we're matching in what they're like how they're marrying and how their visions of life are. And that's why we're kind of a perfect match. But I know that other photographers would fit perfectly to their couples and some of their couples, and it just trying to match the different types of clients, the different people out there to have their perfect wedding photography.
That was very diplomatic, but let me put the question a little bit differently. I mean,
Okay.
I guess it is we are all business insiders working in the wedding business for years. But for a wedding couple, they look around. There are many different photographers, and there are also many different pictures. Obviously, they have to like the pictures, but then they visit a photographer and they have or talk over Skype and have very limited time. So what do they have to look after from the position of the couple? Of course, there is a certain there is to be a certain match, but how does wedding couple, is there some process, some way to check, does this guy fit to us? If they are visiting 10 photographers whom they have pre-selected, they like pictures of every single one. So what would be the next step? What do they have to look after? What do they have to check besides the pictures and the prices?
Trust. Definitely trust. Because you need to trust your wedding photographer. For me, that's the most important thing. Like, trust. I mean, there are some other things like you need to check, but if your heart feels that this is the right photographer, it is the right photographer. And don't try to look at all different kind of photographers out there and just trying to compare, oh, this guy do things like this and this one do things like this. Just try to hear from the bottom of your heart, who do you think you want to trust on your wedding day? Because this is like a huge thing, and you will always get only marry once. So you better find a person who you feel like is the right person for you. And that's, it's pretty easy, I think. It's just don't a big answer to this. It's just, it's pretty easy. And don't overthink everything for weeks. That won't help at all, because then you're just trying and wait and just do, really.
And what would you say to the brides who are on the budget? Because I think many brides, they underestimate, the photography, and we hear so many stories like they regret it afterwards because they just try to save money on the photographer. What would you say to this kind of brides? How important is photography, and how maybe they could save? Should they save? If for example, I'm the bride, I love the photographer, he costs 10,000 euro, but I want him, but it's too expensive. What do you think I should do in this case as a bride?
I think it's all a matter of priorities, and ask yourself what's really important on your wedding day and what you really need, and where do you really want to spend money, because there's so much stuff on a wedding which really doesn't need to be that expensive, or it doesn't need to even put money on.
What?
What do you say?
Like what, from your point of view? Which stuff?
All that, all these details, like flowers and all those. I know there are photographers out there who are just loving all those details and all that things that they're spending, but I'm a strong believer that the most important thing is love, and all the other things are not necessary on a wedding day. And you don't need to spend 10,000 euros on flowers and all those other small little things that just adds to each other. It's get more and more and more and more. So just ask what you really need or really want. And I mean, photos will stay forever. And does it really need to have 5,000 euros for the cake, which will be eaten in basically an hour after that, and no one will remember it after it? But looking at the images, you will definitely remember all those emotions and all this love between people. They will remember the people on a wedding day, how happy they are. And guess what? They won't be happy about that you're spending like 5,000 euros on that cake or all those other things. They will be happy that they're staying with you and they're staying like having spent a great time with you. And they will remember it for 10 years, 20 years and all those things. So yeah, photography is like, I mean, I'm a photographer, I have to say that, but I feel like it's more important to me and to the clients. It should be as well, because that's the stuff that really like stays with you for like longer than the things, or even something like the car and then all that stuff. You're renting this for like what, like an hour of driving for like hundreds of euros, and that's so easy, like not spending so much money on this stuff and just like trying to save it for things that really are important, like a good ceremony and just like a photographer and all that stuff that really helps you to have like a really great experience. Just yeah, things like that, I guess.
I fully agree with you, like 100%, especially, like these birds, the white birds that they usually send. I'm always thinking like, why do you actually need it? It's it's actually also cruel for the animals, and then it just lasts 1 minute max.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's something that I don't feel right at all. Same as balloons. Just these are just things that I don't understand. And if I if I know it before the wedding, they said they want to send like birds or anything, I just say like, I mean, I usually not trying to tell them too much what they should do, because I always want to have them their wedding and not like telling my vision of like the perfect wedding in some ways. But if I heard something like birds or something like this, they're like, do you really want that? Because this is not cool. This is not good for them. Most of them will die. I feel like there are way better ways to start a marriage than just kill birds.
Yeah, exactly.
My opinion.
Do they agree with you, your couples, when you say that?
Yes, and it helped. It helped. I mean, not for everyone. I don't know if the aunt is turning up in like 10 minutes before that and saying like, oh, we're having like got these birds for you, and I'm feeling like, oh gosh, that's not cool. But yeah, but if it's the clients who actually want them, I just say like, don't do this. It's not cool.
Yeah. Well, do you have any other traditions which you don't really like at the weddings, like birds, as you say, balloons? I fully agree with you. I feel so sorry for those animals when I have to see it and I have to take pictures of that, and then I have to pretend being happy. It's all good, but deep inside, my heart is bleeding when I see that. Do you have anything else which you also don't agree with?
I mean, things like this don't happen for me on a regular basis, and I'm happy for that I have such understanding and like good clients that don't like always do stuff like this. It comes like 1 every 15 weddings or something like that, which is pretty rare, and I'm pretty happy for that. Other things that I don't like, maybe those silly games like
with the shoes.
Yes. But not that I don't like games, but I feel like this is more about the people like doing those games, like actually planning those games, than for the couple. And that's my main problem with this. Those games happening because those people want to do something like, it's more about that they want to be a part of the wedding and a present part of the wedding than actually like doing something for the clients. Because I have a lot of clients like when in my pre-meetings that say they don't want any games. And guess what? It's not everyone, but at least a part of these have games at their weddings. So it's not about them because they don't want these. So why they're actually happening?
I have the same experience. Many clients, actually many young couples, just don't like these games.
Yes.
For me, frankly, and that's where I have a different opinion. I frankly, I can't say I like them, but it gives me an opportunity. Although the game itself is quite artificial, but somehow it makes people also to to show some emotions, and that's what
Sure.
I like. But usually I'm telling to the clients, if you want to cut the games, it's absolutely fine, but you have to put something else on their place, something which makes the party special. You have to find ideas. If you don't want to do these odd games, just to do something else, because frankly, in most cases, from my experience, the guests await something special beyond the normal party, beyond just eating and dancing. I never say what they have to do, but I just try to implement the idea that they just don't have, they can't say, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do that, but also they can be creative in exchanging the odd things with really creative ideas.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
From your personal aims as a photographer, as far as I understand, you are just thankful when you have real emotions at the wedding, no matter where it is and with whom. But do you have, as a photographer, some special aims, some special kind of wedding you'd really love, you're dreaming to photograph? I don't know, a colorful Indian wedding, or a wedding on some far island, or in the castle, or in the air, or underwater, whatever special, or don't you really or you really don't care where?
I'm not trying to kind of have too much, how to say this? I'm not trying to get excited for things that could make me feel excited. I mean, I had pretty shitty destination weddings, and I had super fun and some of my favorite weddings just in the town next to mine. So I'm trying to be like completely open for the plans of people and for their weddings, because cool weddings and like cool things can happen basically everywhere. So yeah, of course, I love other traditions. I love other cultures. I'm a pretty open and pretty open-minded person for a lot of things, and I love experience other cultures and other people. But it doesn't need to. It doesn't always need to be like super special, super exciting, because in the end, it always comes to the same things, like telling their story, telling like who they are, their emotions, like keeping their story for them. And that's always the same, like no matter if it's here or in Africa or in India or in Wiesbaden where I live. So it's not a diplomatic answer, I guess, but it's just the truth.
It's very diplomatic, I think. If it's true, it's I might have expected that, but I was just curious anyway.
Do you have any tips? Like, do you have any, maybe a list, with the things that you usually photograph at the weddings, like with the storytelling? Like, so let's say you say, like, I need to photograph the rings, this and that, or is it just always a freestyle for you?
I mean, I'm not trying to come at a wedding with a shot list, like not in hand and not in my brain as well. I'm just there and just being a part of it and document it more from the inside than from the outside, I guess. Just being a part of it and like just always be around and just always be around people and doing like basically be somehow a guest with a camera is pretty much what I do. And just yeah, I mean, I know I have to do like different, like I have to deliver. Of course, I have to deliver shots that I would expect, that my couple would expect. But I mean, I know that I have so much freedom as a wedding photographer, because I'm a few years back, I asked myself, like, what are the images that I really need to deliver? And it came down to like maybe like 5% of the time of the wedding day that I actually need to deliver the shots, and 95% of the time I can just do what I want and what feels right. And that's where I can be like really creative and just like experiment, and just if it doesn't happen for like 20 minutes, it's completely fine. Like,
so how would you react if a couple actually gives you a shot list on the wedding day? I mean, sometimes you are having your talks and there is perfect understanding and they say, yeah, you're great pictures, that's what we want, and so on. And then half a year passes, and then just on the wedding day, she says, and because she has read it in some shitty wedding magazine or whatever, on a blog of somebody, and just presents you a list of 50 motives.
Honestly, I would be on the phone like 5 minutes after sending it or after reading this mail, because I'm happy because after over 200 weddings, I never experienced something like this before, and I'm super happy about this because I know that happens to other photographers, but just it never happened to me. There are always people like saying like, oh, we want to have like an image of something. I don't know what it is, but it comes like every 30, 40 weddings or something like that. Comes like, we want to have like this one shot or this two shots, which I will always do. Like, there's not a no for that. If it would be like a total list, we would talk about the trust topic once more, I guess, because that's not my definition of trust.
That's a very good point. That's a really cool point. Frankly, I've had it only once in 14 years.
That's cool.
And we also had to talk about the trust. Yes, right.
But I had it twice, but of course it's not a enjoyable process when you just get like 40 images from other photographers and then you have to copy them and it's not your style. And then you're just asking the couple, why do you want to book me? Because I'm obviously not your photographer. And do you do any ads, let's say Facebook or Instagram ads?
I don't have Facebook ads and I don't have Instagram ads as well. I have some Google ads, but but they're working, but it's not working like you can't like really narrowing down your ideal clients too much on Google. I'm not so good at Instagram and Facebook ads, but I did some courses in university for Google ads, but they're not like, these are like, if it comes to the like, you just shouldn't always see like only the quantity of environments, but always the quality of environments. But because the quality of environments isn't too good for Google ads for me. It is good with, as I said, fearless masters. Like, it's like the best, like it's best possible. It's not 100% like booking, but it's maybe like 80% booking when I get an inquiry from these platforms, which is pretty insane. Like, honestly, and for Google it must be like 10 to 5%. So it's not always about quantity.
Yeah, with the Google, it's of course it's really difficult to just, as you say, pre-qualify. I mean, in your case, you could say natural, emotional photography, but it's such a big word. Like,
I mean, the couple should search for something like that, and there's not too many couples out there who are searching like documentary wedding photographer in my region. They were searching wedding photographer Wiesbaden, just an example, and they were searching wedding photographer Mainz and all those things. But they're not searching like if you're getting too specific, it doesn't help you too much. So Google isn't working too good for me. I mean, I'm getting the money back, and I'm getting the money back from my inquiries. Of course, I do that, but there are way more efficient other ways for that. Like the competitions. Like I'm spending like masters like 200 euros a year and getting like 5 bookings from that. It's easy as that. If I had the same ratio with Google, that would be insane.
Yes, but you have really to be as talented as you are to make it work. Because fearless, there are obviously quite many photographers.
You need to be on top, and you need to work your way on top. Or if you're like, it's that's basically the same as in Google, to be honest. If you're like in your page 3 at like 35 listed, no one will see you. But if you're on top, like a lot of couples and a lot of people will get that attention that you're actually trying to achieve.
Well, okay. We want to be helpful for our colleagues and also for the clients. So let's start with the colleagues. You have, although you have an advantage that you are young, at least younger that we both, but still you have 7 years of experience in the wedding industry. Perhaps out of your own mistakes or out of the stories you've heard from your colleagues. There is no shortcut, but of course everybody wants to avoid mistakes. Could you just make a few hints for our colleagues, perhaps some people who are just starting their business, or perhaps some people do mistakes all over again? Can you say a few words on that? What really makes you think that, well, if you see somebody who'd suck, or say this is not good way and that shouldn't be this and that?
I'm a big believer in that you should find your own way, your own voice, and you're just own brand that you're trying to develop, and that's not a thing that comes from one day to another. But in long terms, you should try to learn from your mistakes, of course. But like finding your ways and what you're doing, like your line that you're trying to follow in your own path. And of course, you will always like trying to look right and look left, and that's a good thing. I look a lot of like I'm the photographer who's saying like look at your competition in some ways, trying to learn from them, try to analyze them what they're doing, but not trying to copy them, but trying to find like small things and hints and all that stuff to give your own way, like your own voice and all of this. Because I know there are a lot of photographers who just trying to be like someone else. I'm trying to be like someone, I don't know, like the people who are looking like I'm looking up to, and just not trying to get into that trap of just like wanted to be someone, because you will never be that someone. You always will be the best at being you, and being and this comes with a lot of things like your photography style, your brand, the way you're talking, the way you're writing, just all those things that come all together in like this big thing that is your business. And because yeah, your business will be always best if it is you and not a copy of something you will find online or just something like that. And this would be basically my goal and or my tip for people who are starting out, who are basically want to get into this. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't like. I mean, I got into wedding photography with second shooting for another photographer for 15 weddings for a whole year. Oh, like after that, I had that thing in my brain that says this is not you, and this is not this is not the way I want to be a wedding photographer, because I want to do this on my own. I want to be creative on my own, and I don't work for like. This is just not how I'm working, to like be under someone who says that what you have to do, but rather like experience everything for myself, do mistakes, learn from my mistakes, and just find in my way. And that's basically my last 7 years in 2 minutes, like compressed.
Oh, that's beautiful. And how do you think should photographers, especially young photographers, should believe in themselves? How they should gain this trust? Okay, what I'm doing, this is my style. This is what feels right for me. Nobody else is doing something close to what I'm doing. How should I actually trust in myself?
I mean, the trust part is always hard, and I know that, but I think you should just be confident in what you're doing, because what you're doing, like if you like really find someone that maybe not others doing, and even if others do some part of it, it's also okay. But like it will get with time, and it's okay to like try something else out, but then coming back to the path that you want to go, or just maybe finding like a path that you never expected to happen, but it just went that way, and then you're trying to follow this one. It gets like a little, it's not good if you're trying to change paths like every 2 months. So it just you will with time you will get like more narrowed down to what you're actually wanting to do, and you will not just changing everything. And in the start, I usually always tried things out and just always like try to be someone else. Like I'm the last person who says that I'm not influenced or wasn't influenced by other photographers. But then just trying to overcome that and just be you and learn to be you. And it's not something you could learn from like one day to the next, but learn from mistakes and learn what you don't want is more important than learn what you want. Yeah.
Beautiful. And how much time did you need to find your personal style, your signature style? How many years or months or days, or it was just bam, like from the first wedding, it was there?
I mean, it's still a work in progress, of course, I guess. But I haven't changed like. I mean, like the last 3 years been definitely like the to the point where I'm basically saying like I'm getting closer to what I want to achieve, and like learning to achieve this at more and more often, and at more and more I mean, yeah, there always will be stuff that at the weddings that I won't like in the ways that I'm shooting, but it kind of gets down to like like 4 years to like kind of learn and search and to like the last 3 years where I'm just where I'm basically have find what path is mine, and
are there still any aims you want to achieve? Some aims you haven't achieved yet? Is there anything which you want to have differently in the next years, or are you already almost there where you wanted to be?
I feel like for now, I think I'm doing pretty good at like knowing what I want, and for now I'm happy. But that could basically change in the future, where I'm like when I won't be happy after all, and like if I have like 10 weddings where I'm not happy with the things that I'm delivering, I will overthink why I'm not happy, and just then trying to analyze like.
Okay, so you have said that you have attended over 200 weddings, so you've seen quite a lot.
Yes.
Just to ask you, perhaps not especially as a photographer, but as an attendee to these weddings, have you seen a common mistake or mistakes by the couples, or are there any hints or tips you would like to give to them in the end, which they could implement into their wedding planning, or just something to make their wedding day even better?
They should always ask themselves what they want, and because it's their wedding and it's not the wedding of their friends, not the weddings of their family. It's their wedding, and they're doing this because they love themselves. So it's their day and not the day of someone else. And that's basically the thing they should ask themselves with every decision they're doing. Are we doing this for us, or are we doing this to please someone else who's just a guest of this? Because this is just one day, and this is the one day they are the single most important people. And this day will never be happening again. And so they should be happy for themselves and doing things they want. Yeah.
Amen. Good words.
Thank you.
No, for real. I think many couples they do forget that it's your day.
Yeah, they're getting lost. They're getting lost in all these predictions other people are having, and instead of just like doing their thing. And that's maybe the most common like mistake that I'm seeing, because I always feel like this is so bad for the couple, because they are spending so much money on this, and they have all rights to be happy. And if there are things that won't make them happy, they just shouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think many people, they just forget, as you say, they just lost, with the family members having some expectations. Especially, yeah. I think in Germany, what do you guys think? I think in Germany, it's not that crazy, but I think it's more like Eastern European couples. That's a lot more crazy, because then they just don't do it for themselves at all.
Yeah.
It's very different, but German couples are often more sincere. That's what I have experienced in terms of emotions than younger couples out of Eastern Europe or Eastern countries or Russia.
Yeah, it might be. I don't have too many Russian clients or something like Eastern state clients, so I don't have like a too great picture of this. But of course, I would love to have like a Russian couple or something like that somewhere in the future. But I never had like one.
Yeah, you should. It's quite crazy if you do it once or twice.
Yeah, especially the party. They usually have tamadas. Yeah. And I've been working at the Russian-German wedding last summer. Like, I couldn't feel my hands anymore, because you just have to constantly shooting, because then all the guests, they change in the costumes, they're dancing, they're singing, they're drinking. I was exhausted. Like, I couldn't move anymore after that wedding. Just like lying on the couch, not moving, just leave me alone.
Right. I mean, that sounds like a wedding that I would love. Definitely.
Yeah, for you, for sure. It will be like the dream wedding. Where should a normal bride, she doesn't know about the fearless, she has never heard about that. Where do you think should she be looking for a wedding photographer? Is it Instagram, Pinterest, Google? Like, where should she actually start? Because she has no idea.
I feel like they should ask with their friends. They should start with their friends and like asking for the experiences they had with their wedding photographers, and what, like, if they were happy with other photographers, because it's always like easy to like pretend a picture that you aren't as a photographer or as a company. So real life experiences are way more important than just the images and just the stuff that you're seeing online, because online is not the reality. You can like write so much stuff about you. You can basically write online that you're Superman, which might not be. So yeah, ask other people is way more important, and like get a feeling of what they experienced with the photographer they have booked for their wedding. And just, or if you might have been a guest at a wedding and saw a photographer who did great work, like that would be maybe my starting point. If I am a client who have never saw any other like wedding photographers, and I don't like maybe not know photographer like in yeah that would be my starting point.
If I'm very a social person, I don't have any friends, or if I do plan a destination wedding, let's say in Italy, for example, because I think it's a really huge problem for the brides. You know, they have no idea where to start. Let's say it's a destination wedding. Plus, I'm a social. I don't have friends. What should I do in that case as a bride?
It's
Sorry.
Only online is left, I guess. So
but what would it be? What do you think? Instagram? Should I start there? Google? Just
it might be Instagram, yeah, but yeah, you know, I like Instagram in some ways, but in some ways I don't, because I feel like there's in some ways Instagram style of photographer who's like really prominent on Instagram, and like I feel like a lot of Instagram images like basically looking pretty much the same, and like finding a unique photographer is pretty hard.
I find many images a little bit superficial, and that's I think not yours.
Yes. That's kind of my problem that I have with Instagram. So, but I always feel like Google is a pretty, you can pretty be lost when you're trying to Google a photographer and like basically having like 1,000 results, and like it can be overwhelming. So it's a lot of advantages and disadvantages with everything. So yeah, it can be Instagram, it can be Google. Facebook is a little weird to find a wedding photographer on Facebook, I guess. So maybe Instagram or Google.
Yeah. And then should I be looking until I really click with the pictures? What would you say? Like until I always feel like you should have really that wow effect, you know, then it's really your photographer. Like you're just blown away with the images then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then like looking looking for their philosophy, like on their website, they're trying to achieve. That would be my second point. Like first look for the images, and then look like who is this person and what he's actually doing, and what's his or her goal and their minds they're having. And that would be the next step, and then try to contact them in person, and like knowing what they have to say like for you. And yeah.
And could you also please, if you like, maybe send us a few pictures that we could just include in the interview? Or we can just also do it. We can find them on your website. But if you have some preferences, you can also send them to us.
I mean, basically just taking from my website, because I mean, this is my portfolio, and I don't show pictures on my website that I don't believe in. That's maybe another point that I have for other photographers. Show the stuff that you really like want to be seen in some ways from the clients and from other people who are looking up your name. Instead
of 100, because I guess you also see that sometimes you see like 100, 150 pictures in their portfolio, and they're like not the best, you know?
Yeah. Or just like I saw portfolios from photographers who are basically like having like 3 images that are basically looking the same, were from the same couple and like nearly the same spot, like maybe like a little different perspective, and that's all, which is pretty like, I don't know where photographers doing this. And just you need to like your portfolio is so important to like getting the message across like it always all comes together. It's like a big chain of things which like making like everything come together, and because that's what we're getting booked for the overall big picture that comes like into the mind, like the couple's minds.
Do you often have two weddings on a weekend? Is it typical for you to photograph on Friday and Saturday, or are you satisfied with one?
No, I don't do two weddings in one, like two weddings in one weekend. It just, I can't, like, I'm trying to deliver 100% to my clients, and I couldn't deliver like 2 full day weddings in the same weekend and delivering like as I could have if I would have shot.
I'm totally with you. I've tried it a few times. I just couldn't say no. The assignments were too good, and a few times it was even in very different areas. It was quite tough. But frankly, I know colleagues who are capable of doing that and doing a pretty good job.
I did 3 weddings last season. I had like it was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It was really hardcore. And I also had like 2 weddings on the road in Switzerland. So it was like 2 destination weddings, one in Basel and in Appenzell. So I had to travel. It was hardcore, but I was so proud. But I couldn't really walk anymore. Like that wedding in Appenzell, it was 14 hours wedding. I couldn't walk, but I was so proud of myself. Like, you know, I nailed it. I did it. So you can do it. You can still deliver a really good result, but it's, of course, you just need like 2-3 days rest just doing nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying like if I have 1 day rest, I'm fine. Like Thursday and Saturday, I'm fine, but not Friday, Saturday. It's not working for me at all. Like I could do it. Of course, I could physically do it, but I would like have that handbrake at day 1 who is saying like, don't give too much, because I know that I will have another wedding on Saturday and I want to deliver for them as well. And like, I know that couples like they're spending so much money on us, and like I get like it's not a trust thing. They're trusting me to have 100% helping me on their wedding day. So I want to give exactly like this to them, and like every capability that I have in my body for them, and not like having that handbrake who's saying like, don't give too much.
And how many hours usually do you shoot the wedding on average?
Between 13 to 15, I guess, like 13 to 15, maybe 16. I mean, I had like 19-hour weddings, but yeah.
Would you accept a couple just for 6 hours if they say we have a small wedding, there's really nothing much special happening, but we really love to have some emotional pictures? What is the minimum?
I mean, I only book full wedding coverages. I'm saying I'm starting with you, and at least at 12 p.m. or a.m. I don't know, like 12 in the night. If I want to stay longer, I will stay longer. If I'm like completely done and completely like everyone.
So you're not even counting hours. So you just say full wedding day. This is the package. You decide when you come and when you go.
No, my philosophy is I'm not getting paid on hours, but I'm getting paid for the story that I'm telling. So you basically only get me for like telling your story of a wedding day.
I really like the philosophy that you are not selling time.
I mean, in the end, my Saturday is booked anyways. I can't do 2 weddings on a single Saturday.
Right.
So, I mean, if I'm staying there an hour longer or an hour less, it doesn't hurt me. And usually it is not like just doing like 24 hours because I've been booked for 24 hours, but it's mostly reasonable. It's like 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours. It's like the stuff that you would get if you would book the wedding photography.
Be careful if you get booked on an Indian wedding. Make a double price, because that would be $80.
Right. That might be something else. Like if it's like more days, it would have been another price, of course. But for the normal European wedding, like it's basically they're all paying the same. Like no couple would have get an advantage or a disadvantage from it. It's basically just telling the story of them and their wedding. That's what I'm doing.
Despite of all the problems of the current situation, I wish you really good luck with the next weddings, and quite excited to see the next pictures and awards, and keep doing what you are doing and believing in and having trust in what you do. It's very cool.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for everything.
Thank you for your energy, inspiration. It was really inspiring to talk to you. I learned actually a lot from you, so thank you very much for that. It was really beautiful.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, guys, have a nice evening.
Have a
You
great
too.
time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.